Come, follow us
on our journey to get a low-budget
DIY
feature film from script
to screen and beyond.
Nobody knows who we are.
Look at yourselves. Realistically, nobody's going to give you that money. Nobody. You don't know who the fuck you are. It's a complete risk. You are unknown.
This is our first feature film, something we're going to do together. You're going to get it warts and all.
For now, you're just some pair of idiots like everyone else.
Never wait for permission. You just have to start.
Give yourself something impossible to do, and then just find the bloody way of making that thing happen.
This is DIY Cinema Cult.
Hello. How are you doing? It's so lovely and sunny where we are. Guess where we are again?
It's our favourite place.
Oh, it's our favourite place. It's Ali Pali.
It's the home of podcasts. Alexander Palace.
Well, the last time we were here, it was very, very cold.
Yeah.
It was December. I think so. It was pre-Christmas. Or was it after Christmas? No. Sorry. Was it pre-Christmas?
It was
after Christmas, pre-New Year.
Was it the perineum? Because there was the drunk darts crowd who kind of surfed down the muddy hill towards us.
There were the whole family of muddy drunk people
who had to make their way back up to Yorkshire somehow. But it's a very different scene tonight, isn't it?
It's beautiful sunshine.
Beautiful
drinks.
We got drinks. We're slightly ghettoing it because we did buy one drink from the pub and sit outside the pub, but we brought our own.
We came with full picnic and drinks.
This is pure DIY cinema style. As in, bring your own, do it yourself kind of thing.
DIY.
So we are doing it ourselves again tonight, and we've also got an amazing London view. The sun is out and slightly setting.
Yeah.
But it's a lovely little spot.
It's lovely. We've been chatting about, because we've been doing some episodes about the old man and talking to some of the people kind of involved in the film. And this episode we were due to be chatting to our DOP Rami,
long-term old friend and colleague.
Very long-term friend, old colleague, and the brilliant director of photography on the film. And we were just trying to arrange a call that we could all kind of be on to do that interview. But we're all such busy people, we couldn't quite triangulate our schedules, could we?
Triangulate our schedules. That makes it sound so much more grand than a bit busy with work this week. No, we couldn't. So, but you're going to triangulate your schedule with Rami
what I do. Rami is now on. As a very busy man, he is now on. He's on some kind of drama shoot. So, doing calls on a weekday or week evening is kind of impossible for him. It's only weekends. And you're a very busy man because you're off festivaling the next couple of weekends.
Well, this is true, yeah. So I've just come back from a stint of festivaling. We were just talking about, and I was trying not to gloat at the fact that the film did a little sneaky private screening at Glastonbury. So we've had the bell tent out and we showed it to a crew from sort of within the story backstage at Glastonbury, and it was
amazing. Absolutely
marvellous, I must say. It was so lovely to be there again after all these years. I mean, we've been to Glastonbury together quite a few times over the years, and obviously it's the centre of the cultural universe in the middle of Somerset, and so that has been the last kind of time we got the bell tent out, and this time we're getting the bell tent out again this weekend as we're going to another lovely little festival called Also Festival, which describes itself as a festival of ideas.
Ooh.
So a little bit more grown up, although Glastonbury certainly has its grown up corners, but it's a lot more about talks and workshops and that kind of thing, with a beautiful setting and music and DJs and the like as well. But so getting the bell tent out again, which is a little bit shoddy at the moment, it must be said. But yes, the summer of festivals and being with the kids and in a field somewhere, it's got to be done, isn't it?
That is fantastic. Well, I'm quite proud of us at the moment because we are at the moment. This is episode 28 28, I believe,
You're
of
joking.
DIY Cinema Cult.
28?
Hang on, let me just get if I got that right. Yeah, 28.
Wow.
28. So we will soon be reaching our 30th episode.
Mm.
Should we have some kind of celebration for that? What do you reckon we should pull out the hat for that one?
Maybe we should be outside a pub in Ali Pali.
I do like it that we started off, two old men in a shed in the freezing cold that November day when we started this podcast, and now we seem to be just coming up here with an incredible view and sunshine and just kind of living it up, basically.
Well, you got to go with the changes of the time and the seasons.
Yeah.
And we're not far off from the midsummer area, so you've got to be near the sun. You've got to be at one of London's highest points.
Yeah.
But it's true, we come a long way from the shed, and soon the shed. We may have to do our 30th back in the shed.
I think we should do,
because it may be the last time.
Oh really? This is the shed gonna?
You're
gonna be leaving
may
the shed?
soon not be the hub of Trinder Films anymore, because we may well be moving from that place permanently. So
wow.
So maybe we need to do a kind of anniversary and final.
Where it began,
episode.
And then oh, that's a bit sad. Well, I don't know why I think it's sad. We only did like 1 or 2 episodes there.
Yeah. Well, I did nearly all the rest.
Oh,
of
you've
them
done all of your
from
episodes.
there, because we did about 2 years worth of them in lockdown.
Of course, I'm
So
forgetting.
in some ways, I did most of them from there, but you obviously didn't. You were in your bedroom, with washing kind of hanging
on the radiators, pants and stuff everywhere.
Absolutely. So it's all. This is all part of the DIY ethos, isn't it, and aesthetic. But so what's been happening with you, Marc? Because there's been I got some exciting things in my inbox yesterday. And
yeah, so for anyone listening to this, we are going to be releasing these episodes during our Kickstarter campaign for The Old Man. So we are beaming to you from the past in a way. And so I've been working on the Kickstarter films for our campaign that you may be seeing released. Currently, little kind of behind the scenes and makings of, and the launch film, which you've been helping me with and giving advice on. So it's just our campaign to try and raise money for our final block of shooting for The Old Man, second and final block, just so we can get it all done and in the can, and we can start, moving into post-production. I know everyone's keen to get back at it. I know Rami is, and I'd like, when I do the call with him, I'll chat to him about our plans for that second block. But yeah, it's just trying to get ourselves, not lose momentum, and just trying to get this film done this year. Yeah.
Well, in some ways, the 30th. I'm hoping that the 30th episode will be a landmark for both of us, because obviously my documentary has come as far as it's come, and then your film has come as far as it's come, and I think it would be a really good opportunity to take stock, to see, considering what we were talking about on episode 1 to episode 30, because although maybe the plan that we had back then isn't exactly the plan that has manifested, in a way we've got 2 for the price of 1, because we were talking about making a film together back then, as a sort of DIY project, a kind of almost like a experiment in chaos magic, as in just start, get going, and actually 30 episodes in, and we're now potentially at 2 films that we've made, which I think is pretty fabulous to celebrate, because it's proof that the magic has worked in some way. We're not there yet. There's still a long way to go. There's still finishing to be done on my film, and raising some money for archive costs and the like, and there's still some raising money for your film to do the last batch of shooting, and then hopefully get it into post-production. But it shows you put the effort and energy in, you cast the magic spell, the DIY magical spell, and you can make something. And hopefully by the end of this year we'll both be able to show that thing in some way to public.
Well, I think that's a brilliant idea. I think the 30th episode is a great opportunity to take stock on what has been quite a productive year, but I think couple of years in the build up to, and certainly it's quite amazing that our plans were warped and changed, but were kind of fruitful in really surprising ways that we weren't quite expecting.
it's somehow that's part of the chaos part of it, isn't it?
100%, yeah.
The chaos magic side of it, I think, it keeps coming back in my thoughts, as in you keep rolling the dice and you go somewhere between the 1 and the 6 each time, and generally you're heading a direction. That's the kind of the drive you have to make a film, to get something finished, to make creative projects a reality. But you've got to keep rolling the dice, because we don't have infinite budgets. We don't have any budgets, in fact, really. So you've got to go with whatever the opportunities that arise, and just keep pushing forward, keep kind of going from step to step, and then seeing where that ends up. And that may well be a different path than you expected, and in fact it's quite obviously that it is. But as long as you still have that kind of drive of like, we've got to keep making, keep doing, keep going forwards, and then keep seeing where the opportunities are that you've discovered. And okay, well, we were planning to go that way, but this way is very fruitful too. And so I think in some ways it's this is part of the chaos, part of the magic. We found a path that is equally exciting, and in some ways more exciting, because we've got 2 projects going.
And in the case of The Old Man, it was that we kind of hit brick walls in terms of routine. Maybe became too ambitious and expensive and out of our league currently as we stood when trying to put a film together on very little money. But and then out of that kind of gear change and desperation, something else kind of happens that has turned out maybe better or bigger than I was perceiving at first. I was perceiving it as a web series that maybe we would do very low key just to kind of test the ground and stuff, and now it seems like it's turned into a feature film, which was kind of not what we were kind of banking on at all.
But in some ways it's interesting, isn't it, because the DIY rules that we kind of thought about back then, which was do something all in one sort of physical location and keep it quite kind of small. Don't try to go to lots of different places. Well, we've both broken those fucking rules completely. You literally went to the top of a fucking mountain.
I know.
Let's go to the most annoying place to get to you can possibly. I remember us looking at the map going, right, so that's 4 hours to there, and then another 2.5 hours up that hill, and Jesus God. But you did it, and that's the thing.
I did it, but I remember thinking, this isn't what we planned. This isn't what we said on the podcast to do.
No. So maybe that's part of the rules that we should amend, because of course because as with all chaos magic, you've got to keep changing the rules.
Yes.
Because there's no one rule that works for everything. Part of the rule is. I don't know how many rules did we create. I can't remember. How many did we have?
I think part of the whole chaos magic thing is that you kind of have to break even the rules that you should set out for yourself.
Break the rules that you've established.
So, for example, yes, don't have lots of locations and lots of actors and lots of difficulties that will blow your budget up.
Unless you do.
But at the But at the same time, you also need to go to places to shoot where maybe you can grab hold of a little bit of magic, and that's in places like top of mountains, on a coast, in the middle of a forest at night. These weird places where you'll have this kind of magic that will kind of imbue your film and heighten your production value. And so that's kind of thing. That's I think what we were doing, but yes, it did go against all of those rules that we kind of set out for ourselves early on.
But in some ways, you're dead right about location. Location is one of those things that, unfortunately, it's usually one of the most expensive aspects of making a film, because you generally, it's very hard to blag it unless you own it or somebody owns it. But what you did was you found a way to do it there, and it didn't sound like it was entirely easy, as in you weren't the only people on that mountain, but it gives you a ton of value that you wouldn't have had inside a comedy venue, in a black box somewhere or a studio somewhere, as in you just have to look at some of the rushes and go, oh wow, it looks like a movie. And I think that's so powerful, particularly kind of elevating it beyond something that is on the page to something that people would think of as being cinematic and all these kind of things. you just look at some of the shots, and I think your choices and Rami's shooting has made it look like a movie from the small amounts that I've seen. So for sure, break the fucking rules, because sometimes
don't listen to a word we're saying.
Don't listen to a word. Listen to all the episodes, of course, because it's deep, deep wisdom. But be prepared to completely ignore it if something better comes along.
Well, as it turned out, we were able to get Rami on the phone, and we were able to chat with him, Aaron and myself and Rami all together, all three of us. So what follows is our chat with Rami on one of his nights off from his shoot. It starts off with just me and Rami on the phone. Aaron joins later. But without further ado, here is our chat with our one and only, our very own DOP of The Old Man, Rami Bartholdy.
So Rami, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah.
I realise I don't want to keep you up too late tonight, because I realise A, you've got your little baby there, and B, you are on a shoot at the moment. What are you shooting currently?
I'm working on a BBC comedy drama, and it's called Black Ops. It's actually really good. I think it's like an original idea, original series. There's some groundbreaking thoughts behind it, and the humor in it is actually really smashing.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it's very rewarding to watch. So I really hope for the filmmakers and the lead actor and actress that it would take them to another place, because they deserve it. I laughed a lot watching it through the monitors and stuff. And
oh, nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
It must make a difference when you're doing something that's funny, I guess, rather than something that's a heavy drama when you're having to work long hours, would you say?
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, I think whether it's humor or whether it's a good script, whatever the content is, when you feel like you're doing something that has an impact, that moves you when you even watch it being recorded or capturing it, then
Yeah.
kind of get a feeling that, it's worth your time in the long run. It's gonna be something other people will enjoy, and that's nice, of course.
Yeah.
This is ultimately what it's all about, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how are the hours been so far? How long are you on it for? How long to shoot for?
But this is a 6-week shoot, so these are short episodes.
Right.
A little bit like my friend Marc Hartman, who's gonna make it like a mini episode thing, like six mini episodes of half an hour, and so effectively it's like an episode a week that we're shooting. So it's quite a relentless pace, but I think we're getting some great things, and we have a great director and a great DOP. I'm the technical assistant on this one, and I still enjoy being an aspiring DOP and having shot a few things. I still enjoy working with others and see how they perceive things and how they approach their projects, and
Absolutely.
support them in achieving what they need.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's great, and it's. I hope secretly that this is a little gem. It's funny.
Oh,
The people who
fantastic.
made it deserves to be elevated. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, you alluded to The Old Man just then, and me and you started talking about that project a long time ago.
Yeah.
And as you alluded to just then, it wasn't even a feature film at the start, was it? It was a web series, right?
Yeah.
So and you were quite instrumental well in just the development of the script as I was writing it too, because I was giving you kind of copies. I mean, maybe 5 or 6 drafts ago when it was a 7-part series, right? So I mean, I've joked with Aaron about this, that we kind of started making a feature film almost by accident. We'd gone so far down the road developing it, developing the characters, developing the script, and at the last minute we were like, we think this is a feature film, didn't we?
No, but I mean, you surprised me by turning it into a feature film script. As I expected another draft of the series when you said actually I condensed it into one. But I was really positively surprised. I mean, I always loved the idea of the miniseries, and obviously it's a formula that's becoming more popular out there in the internet-based digital platforms, like the one I just mentioned, 6 half-an-hour episodes. I worked on another thing called Cheetahs, which also came out on BBC, being short,
Yeah.
condensed episodes and stuff. So I thought, yeah, you got like the right idea here with making that kind of short format
Yeah, it was actually
drama.
it was actually you inspired me quite a lot when we chatted like that, because at the start I hadn't really seen that many, apart from some online things or maybe some BBC Three mini things, episodic things.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen too many things of that nature, and I wasn't even sure if I was doing the right thing. But then you yourself was working on Cheetahs, and which were cool, the high production values, great crews, great cast, but they were just making things that were episodic and shorter episodes. And I thought that was it's kind of going that way, isn't it? There's kind of a form for that now.
Yeah, I mean, so the producer of that told me that, the reason being is a lot of people, there's so much content out there, and a lot of people do have families and very limited time. So you're like, what can I squeeze in for an evening? And all of a sudden you look at this one and it's like, it looks funny on the trailer, and it's only half an hour. And the idea is once you watch half an hour, you watch the other half an hour, but you're not put off about the fact that you're about to engage in a 6-hour marathon, so to speak. It's just something quick and cheerful, and they're trying to create that format to appeal for people like myself with babies and whatnot that maybe not have that kind of time. What do you do when you sit down in the evening? Do you have enough to watch a whole hour? Are you gonna get through it? You're gonna fall asleep.
You're gonna fall asleep, basically. Yeah, that's my problem.
That was the thought from the producer on Cheetahs. Told me that's the thought behind these things, like the short format drama. So when you came up with this idea for the old man, I thought, yeah, this sounds like something that could probably hit home somewhere,
Ah, fantastic. So tell me about you yourself, Rami. When was the first, kind of casting your mind back, when was the first time you can see the kind of kickoff point for you getting into camera work, photography, or cinema in general?
Well, it's weird, but it's actually a bit of a revelation in my school years when I was actually I was I was a borderline punk, I have to admit. I had so little idea what I wanted to do with myself and my life, and I was literally just living it up day by day without any idea what the future brings. And eventually they led to me crashing out of several schools and, having to start other ones and trying that new courses to get onto, the education ladder and open up my future for me. But I was just not able to concentrate for very long on very many things. So in my late school years on A levels, I must have been about 18, 19, and I was facing the barrel of being chucked out of school again. I knew I had to do something. I remember I saw some people working on a film course, and I thought, actually, this looks really nice. There's something about it I really liked, and there was a side subject you could pick at school. So after I left that school, unfortunately not by my own choice, I redid a year at a different school with not the same crowd around me and concentrate on my life a bit more. And I picked film and television as a subject. And I had a really good teacher who was just really inspiring, and all of a sudden opened up this whole vision of how powerful the media is as a tool to explain, to express, how the practicality of framing images can really enhance or de-enhance, or do whatever it needs to do in order to bring a line on the part of a story that you wanna express, and that was where I really caught on. I just
clicked with you.
It just clicked with me, and always been a keen photographer. I've done lots of painting and drawing and all of that throughout my life, and I saved some money. I went to Australia with a friend. We had a mission for 7 years that we were going to dive the Great Barrier Reef, and we went. And I knew as soon as I came back from that, I just wanted to get on and do film work. And effectively, that's how I started. Yeah.
Fantastic. Because when we met, when we were about, I don't know how old we were, not 18, 19 or 19 or something in there. And so we were working in Soho. We were both running at different companies. We were all kind of running at the same company we worked at the same company for a time.
Yeah, I came into your company after my first company I worked in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you were kind of bitten with the film bug then, weren't you? You were trying to find ways. Were you trying to get into the camera department, or were you still not sure what area you wanted to get into?
No, I actually knew that I wanted to do camera, but
Right.
it's I came back from that journey to Australia, and I was traveling for nearly a year, 11 and a half months I was gone. I was meant to travel for 6 months, but yeah, we ended up staying out there for a year. When I came back, I started working in Denmark, where I lived, on various projects, and I was like a location manager for a low budget feature, and I did some art department, and I ended up on something called XTV in my borough of Lyngby, North Copenhagen, and
Nice.
it was like, that's where I got my hands on cameras, and I started making a few programs with cameras, but it was all for free. There was no money in it, and the Danish film industry at the time was quite small, so I was literally trying to pursue this career, but at the same time having to do side jobs. I did like substitute teaching. I worked in kindergartens and nurseries and stuff like that, to make a living, and then went out on the XTV to do camera work, and it's obviously quite tiring trying to run 2 jobs, and the emphasis that you have to put into learning and about cameras and TV is quite big, so you come out there tired, and you try and do that, it was really tricky, but I tried, and then from the journey we made in Australia, my friend fell in love with an English girl who used to work in post-production in London, and she was in Denmark with him at the time, and she said to me, listen, they're looking for runners in my old post-production in Nat Soho Square. Why don't you send your CV, and I'll see if they can make sure they look at it. And I was like, that's a good idea. I never thought about London.
Yeah.
So I sent my CV to Nat's post-production in Soho Square. She phoned her friend Louise and said, could you make sure you have a look at this guy? And she was like, yeah, sure, the CV's here and stuff. And I tried to knock them up for like, months and months, and there's anything, and they're like, no, nothing. In the end, I just took like a trip to London. I stayed with one of her friends, and then I called up Matt and said, listen, I'm here, can I come and speak to you? And on the last day, I was going to fly home on a Monday, but the ticket was too expensive, so I booked it for a Tuesday, and then they were like, actually, can you come in and speak to us on Monday? So I went in and talked to them, and it all seemed really well and fine, and there was not a problem that I was Danish because of the EU thing. My English was kind of good, because Danes have a fairly good English.
You guys have got good English, yeah.
Yeah. That didn't seem like an obstacle.
Yeah.
I didn't actually hear from them for like 2.5 months it took, and I thought, that's the dead dog, it's just never going to happen. I just started thinking in another direction, and all of a sudden one random day the phone call and said, hey, it's Andy or whoever from that post production, and we've got a free position as a runner. When can you start? And it's like, oh, I've got a bit of work on this week. And it's like, what about next Monday? It's like, yeah, fine. And it's like, okay,
that was it. You're off.
That was it. I went upstairs to tell my parents, like, Mom, I'm going to London. It's like, what are you going to do there? I'm going to be a runner. That is that. I don't know.
You are listening to the debut feature film podcast. This is DIY Cinema Cult.
Because I know the place we used to work at, English in Pocket, we'd get to go out, if we were running, we'd get to go out on shoots an awful lot.
Yeah.
Different film shoots and what have you. And so I guess when you were going out on the shoots yourself as a runner, were you then kind of latching yourself onto camera departments there and gaining experience wherever you could?
Yeah. So I was in Nat's post-production for a year and 3 months, and I had shot a few videos at home, and when I got there I said I wanted to be an editor, and I taught myself how to use the equipment, with some of the local help. But yeah, I always knew I wanted to do camera, and at some point this job opportunity came up at English in Pocket. And the golden carrot for me was that somebody told me, well, we do lots of film shoots, and everything is shot on 35mm film, sometimes 16mm, but that was like the flagship camera format at the time. That was the most lucrative you could shoot on. That was the highest resolution format, the best looking stuff. And I was like, wow, if I get to go on shoots like that and meet camera people, that's the direction I want to go. And that's why I said yes to English in Pocket. Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. I met people like Sam McCurdy, Joe Dyer, and Tony May.
Yes.
and Bob, obviously,
Bob Pender Hughes,
Bob
yeah.
Pender Hughes, and and through Joe Dyer, his focus puller, Paul Mackay, took me on to trainee in some short films. He said you need a bit more experience, and that's how I
Right.
met Harry Sampalugas, who I later went on to shoot. Become a B camera loader for him on Death Defying X.
So a lot of the bigger films you did later on, they were
Yeah,
through contacts you made really early
exactly.
on back then. Wow.
My first feature film in Britain as a camera trainee
Mm,
was on Death. No, that was on The Descent. It was called.
The
It was called
Descent, right.
Crawl Spies when we made it, but it's called The Descent. And
Mm,
the producer Christian Colson is the one that produced Slumdog Millionaire. I think The
right.
Descent was one of the most successful low-budget films that was made at the time in Britain. And I remember reading this script. It was about six girls that goes into a cave and they get eaten by monsters. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah, yeah.
You're watching the suspense, the build-up, the intensity of the caves, all of that. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
groundbreaking. And that was Sam McCurdy, who I met at English in Pocket.
DIY Cinema Club.
Your training in terms of camera and everything, it's all come through work, right? It's all come through working in the industry. Yeah,
All of it.
that's
Every
amazing.
single thing. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. And this, what I really took with me from post-production is the ability to make a really good cup of tea.
Yes, I completely agree with you. And
I mean, you just smash people to pieces when they stand out there in the cold and the
oh
rain, and you
man,
serve them the right stuff. They're like, yeah, this guy.
I remember I was so I don't think I've ever been good at making tea. I was better at making tea then than I am now. Unfortunately I've let my standards slip. But I remember I used to pride myself on making brilliant tea because that's the way you broke through, right? You kind of broke ice with the higher end crew members. And I can remember Bob Pender Hughes. I remember handing him a cup of tea once. He's a deep listeners. He's a big director of photography who was obviously very influential to Rami in his career and is a brilliant commercials DOP. Very sought after. Incredibly talented man. But I gave him a cup of tea and he went, "That is the best cup of tea I've ever had." And he pointed at me. He pointed at me and shouted across to the crew, "Goes, this man makes an amazing cup of tea." And I was like, "Yes, I've done it. Success. It's a good day. It's a good day."
You should have gone in the camera route.
I should have gone through the camera.
Because I never got in with Bob Pender Hughes. He was not good enough at the time.
Oh man. So yes. So tell me a little bit about you starting to make ways into the feature film kind of area. So it was camera trainee stuff to start and then built up from there. Is that right?
Yeah, basically. So I stayed. I just literally did whatever came my way, and ironically, from my time in Nats post production and English in Pocket, I actually ended up being the in-house video editor at English in Pocket. They gave me a course in standard broadcast technology, so I learned about the basics for TV signals, coloring, sound levels, and all of that. And I ended up compiling all of their outgoing tapes for they were sending out to anybody, whether they had competitions or they wanted to promote their stuff or somebody had to see a job, you had to stick it on a theta, SP or a digibeta, and it had to have, a 1 hour time code, and it had to come in with like 30 seconds of bars, and then it had to have a clock and the right, audio levels and all of that shit. All of that stuff I compiled for them. After they gave me that course, I understood how to do it, and I just produced all these tapes for them. And later on, the managing director, James Roberts, is like, "I don't think you realize how much money you saved me here." Because they used to go to a Red Post production around the corner to get all these tapes compiled. Yeah,
wow.
So they had a really, they said you can use the equipment as much as you like, and so I learned how to edit, and I start doing show reels as well for camera people and for all sorts of people,
Right.
So I met a guy called John Hembro, a Steadicam operator,
right,
and I compiled his show reel back in the days. But what that later became was when I was out as a trainee, my name all of a sudden flew around with some really good people who would mention me to other people, and saying, "Oh, you should check this guy out." And it basically just led me slowly but steady towards getting into bigger and better drama. And I think I always loaded on short films. I did a lot of loading up at the NFTS, helping on their graduation films up there.
Yeah.
And even start focus pulling up there on the shoots. You know, a lot of them were 16 mil, some of them were digibeaters. And some of the DOPs with them I went out and did a lot of jobs with. But you know, I've always stayed humble and stayed, you know, even though I knew how to load and even focus pull a bit, I kind of sold myself as a trainee, and I eventually got in and did a job called, I think, Rose and Maloney. It was called
I
ITV
remember
thing.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my
that.
first kind of first kind of major TV drama as a trainee, and it was all on 16 millimeter film, you know, and that's like flagship stuff. And what that did was open up doors that, you know, that's how it all started. And because I had all these camera skills already from the short films and for a lot of things I've been doing, I came in there staying humble. People were like, you know, had no expectations of you, and all of a sudden you can pull things off more than just a cup of tea. And they're like, you know, it just escalated from there. I did Rose and Maloney. I did Alvida's in Pet Christmas special. I I ended up doing Hustle Series 2.
Oh yeah,
Did
Hustle.
Spooks Series 3 and most of Series 4. That's where I broke through from being a camera trainee to become a clapper loader. That was in Spook Series 4.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when did the TV stuff was kind of getting more I mean, it's already high end, but your job responsibility is going up and up. And then when did you break through into features, or did that happen a lot?
Yeah, but then you know, I got a little bit of a chance of it, but there were very tricky places to break in because obviously the people doing that really experienced. So I can't remember exactly. I think Crawl Space, The Descent was in 2005, so it was one of my first trainee experiences.
Right.
And that came in the winter in December. When did that happen? I think I was working on something called the Dream Team, which was
the football thing.
Yeah, I did that for a long time actually. But no, then I broke into Spooks and Hustle, and I think the Descent came after that. It came up one winter where we went to Scotland for 2 weeks. I was on the second unit trainee, and we had 2 cameras in that unit and 4 people, and I literally ended up focus pulling for the focus puller who was operating, while the operator was operating and the loader was focus pulling for him, you know, because we were so busy. Like we just had to do one setup and move on, you know, to get more coverage. Because in Scotland, December in the woods, you know, there's just not enough light for the film stuff. You know, it's nothing. So it was a really full-on and great experience, and I made a great focus puller called Ashley Bond, who was like, you know what, you're good, but you need a bit more experience. So, you know, he threw my name out in a few places and took me along to a few things. So I did another kind of second unit edition of photography in a film called Keeping Mum, which again was a great DOP called Gavin Finney, and a great experience at the time, you know. So I slowly got in to do some of the bigger things.
Yes.
But not the whole thing, just parts of it. But then coming back to the TV drama with a little bit of that experience, I kind of became better and better. And as I said, on Spooks Series 4, I got promoted to B camera loader. And then they changed the DOP and the director quite often from block to block. And just as I got promoted, the main team went on with their DOP to another shoot. And all of a sudden I became the A camera loader for a brand new DOP and a brand new focus puller I'd never met. But I was so in the motion of everything because I moved up from a trainee, and I didn't tell them I just moved up. I just thought, either you do it or you don't. You just have to, you know.
He's got to get ready to hit the ground. Your feet are going.
Exactly. And I had a trainee at the time, Jake Thomas. He's a stills photographer now. He's great. I'll never forget him. And I just fucking drilled him into everything I knew. You know, it's gonna be like this. It's gonna be like this because it was a DOP called Nick Morris. He was from the BSC. He's still from the BSC.
Well, hang on, hold on there, Rami. We've got Aaron about to come in.
Oh wow!
Let me just bring Aaron in.
Never wait for permission. You just have to start.
Marc and I have been following. How would you describe it, Marc? Chaos magic. Chaos magic. Chaos magic. Chaos magic.
Hello. How are you doing?
It's Rami.
It's Rami. Where is Rami?
I'm at home.
You're at home?
In London. Yeah.
How are you, Aaron? What's been going on? How are you?
I've been trying to stay alive in the sweltering heat. It's not easy. Boiling away in the studio, cooking like a lobster. Yeah, and trying to be productive somehow as well, but not,
Yeah, being productive in this heat is not the one, is it? It's not easy.
Doesn't really work as well. No, it definitely doesn't work as well. But we're here anyway. We're here.
We are here.
Yeah.
I was just chatting to Rami Aaron about his first kind of stepping ups in the industry and TV, and Rami was just kind of explaining to me how it's almost like it happened. It's almost like you had one foot on a rung in TV that pushed you up, then one foot on a rung in film, and that kind of, it's almost like it kind of happened. They kind of helped each other and fed into each other. Rami kind of sounds like
exactly. On that last shoot I was talking about, when I just moved on to the A-cam on Spook Series 4, and we had Nick Morris coming in and a guy called Rob Dibble, and I just worked my ass off and made sure everything was right and corrected all the mistakes they were pointing out and just made the best I could out of it, and walked away from it and didn't get any criticism, thinking that was pretty good,
Yeah.
One to be proud of. And out of the blue, shortly after, I get a call from some line producer saying I've been put forward for a job in Prague for 15 weeks if I was interested. And that was my first breakthrough on a major feature. I became the A-camera clever load on a film called Hannibal Rising, shot by Ben Davis, produced by Dino De Laurentiis.
Wow.
Yes.
So was that a very noticeable step up in every way in terms of scale and everything?
Yeah. We're talking about maybe 15 to 20 odd million pounds at the time, all shot in Prague, so you get more for the money. I mean, Dino De Laurentiis, I'm sure you know about him. I think he produced all of the direct Lynch. I think he did all Lynch film.
The God Lynch, all of our creative, artistic uncles, the God Lynch.
Yeah, well, Dino De Laurentiis, I mean, look him up, is relentless. I mean, there's so much, and he sadly passed away now, but he was quite senior at the time. And as somebody told me, it's quite lucky that I get a chance to work on something like that. But that was a breakthrough thing, not just in terms of credit, but also in terms of experience. I mean, I should arguably not have been there had it been the first choice of the cameraman and his focus puller, but I was there. I did meet them. I did get through it. I learned so much. It was unbelievable. And I also got something behind me that, established me for life in this business.
And then from there, did those wheels get greased quite easily, or did you find yourself?
No, I mean, that's the thing. Then that other great focus puller, Ashley Bourne, that took me on to the early stages of thing. He put me forward for doing some Trinians, and then because I wasn't a girl, I wasn't allowed. They wanted a girl loader.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay. But that would maybe have been another A-camera film, as a loader, that would have been something where the ball would be rolling, and all of a sudden I was out. And I wasn't in with the DOP from Hannibal Rising. He went on to do Stardust or something with all their own crew and everything, and
right.
I didn't really suck up to them for one reason or another and tried to get in there. So I was kind of left behind a bit. So I ended up, can't remember what I did immediately after, but I did a lot of smaller jobs, but with the experience I had, I came across so much better on set. I became a much better asset to a lot of more people. So I just started meeting people randomly, and wherever I went out, I all of a sudden became a valuable technical asset, and it really helped me move forward. So in that sense, I always found a way and found jobs, but I have also always been bouncing between very small random jobs. Sometimes jobs not paid, but where I take a step up and focus, or when I did Hannibal Rising, I actually got the editor out there to put together a short film that I shot beforehand, So while I was doing all of this assisting, I always shot my own things on the side, and I met some great people on various shoots that helped me put things together, and really from there onwards, also being known in the camera rental houses, when you come out and ask favors, people lend me lenses. I shot other short films. I'll get like a set of Cooks, like expensive lenses, and track and all sorts of things for like next to nothing from the camera rental houses, because they wanted to support you, because they're seeing you in the bigger things. They could see you handling all of this kit. So all of a sudden you just open a lot of doors, and
it's funny how it works incrementally. Like what you're describing it's all about It's not just about the next stages of your career in terms of stepping up, but it's all these connections you make and all these kind of personalities you make and your relationships with them. You know, you have
100%.
And being and I would say relationships on a very honest level. It's all about trust, right?
Yeah. No, it is, and it's also about, because I always wanted to be friendly with everybody, but also realize you can't be friendly with everybody. It's not everybody you click with. You know, that part of it is also a learning curve that is, you know, it's just not every place that's for you, or not everybody wants you. They have other ways of thinking and working, and different banter, different level of communication, and that's just the way it is. It's okay. To learn that bit was arguably one of the hardest, because you always become very hard on yourself if you don't get in somewhere where you're trying to get in. But actually, in time, you realize it's not necessarily because you don't have the ability to do the job there. It just means you're not meant for that crowd.
Yeah, you don't fit into that particular jigsaw or what have you. Yeah,
exactly. But there's 1,000 other places, or hundreds, or one place that you can go instead. You know, but there are places for you where you click and you're more, you know, where you move forward. And I think the key for me has always been that I always try my best not to be ousted. And even when I had a hard time, is just make sure the job is so well done that nobody can put a finger on the job. If they have a personal problem with it, so be it. But don't have a problem with what you're doing. And I guess that's how I build my expertise the most.
It's so beautiful. Make it together. We're making a movie, man. We'll make it with love. I'm so happy. Join me, man. We're making a movie. We're making a movie with love. This is amazing. Come together, everybody. Bring all your family and all your children, man. It's gonna be beautiful.
How important, Rami, is you talked a little bit about doing, you know, these in between projects, these kind of things where you step up, where you do things for free, these kind of no budget kind of things. How important is that side of it, both for sort of building up your skill, but your network? We'll talk a little bit about that as a sort of DIY podcast, I suppose. That side of it's particularly interesting.
No, but it's everything. Again, as I said, you know, you build up the contacts to put people together to come out and help you. That's a major thing. You help somebody on their shoot, they come and help you on yours. All of a sudden, you need a team. You know, nothing can be done by yourself. You need to build teams. So that's been a major thing, just to connect with other people and make things. It's also about, every time you go out and do something, you stand there on sets and you look at people doing things, you're like, oh, I can do that. All of a sudden you get put on the hot spot, and there's so many things to think about. You forget about the most basic things. So all of a sudden you realize how difficult it is to lead, not to have somebody to answer to or do something that you're told, but actually create it and suck everybody in so they're on the same page as where you want to take them. That kind of leadership, you just realize it's really difficult. And I think by doing your own things, I slowly start to build more, assertiveness.
Yeah.
To understand how to utilize the practical things you learned, so you get the best result out of what you're trying to do, you know?
Yeah.
And that's been a major in doing my own things on the side, definitely. You know, when you're a clapper loader, you write down camera sheets, you know, all the lenses, all the filters, all the white balance, all the film stock, everything like now is white balance and video cameras. But you know, the film stock you're using, what filters were used to correct in order to get this kind of look. You see all of that, so you know how it's created. What you end up seeing on TV, you know exactly what lies behind it. And obviously as well, shooting your own things and then coming into a shoot as an assistant, having taken that experience of standing there by yourself, it creates some new questions, like, well, how do you do this lighting deal? How do you do that? You know what I mean? Your question, or what you become inquisitive about, becomes deeper and more technical.
Yeah.
And you go to a DOP that you assist really well, that you do a hard job for, and you all of a sudden stand around and have a nice cup of tea. You ask him questions like, oh, so this situation, what is that? And all of a sudden somebody starts to give you some deeper knowledge, you know. That's how you start to understand more things, and that's been brilliant. And that's purely by doing your own things that you ask better questions from some very good people. You stand next to some very good DOPs who all of a sudden give you some golden advice about lighting and combinations of camera settings or filters or whatever, or just approaches to how to capture this scene or that scene, or what do you do here, and why do you put so much time in here, and how do you balance what's essential, and how do you do things quick compared to when do you know when to put more time into it, and when do you know when to knock things out, and all of these little things you become inquisitive about, and standing next to great people getting these kind of answers. And everybody will give you answers if you work hard for them. They will share their knowledge.
We were chatting on our shoot, Rami, about, and you were saying that you kind of reached the apex of that, what you're talking about, that kind of listening in or being involved in conversations when you were focus pulling. Is that right? After a take, the DOP and the director would come to your monitor, and then they'd literally stand around you and discuss the shot and how they can improve, what problems they're having.
But I never thought of it until years after. But exactly that. I mean, when you're a clapper loader, you get sent off to get things, but when you're a focus puller, you're always next to the camera.
Yeah.
And I realized after a long time that every single conversation that has any meaning on this shoot happens around camera. If somebody
they kind of huddle around you and have it.
But it's almost like camera's got this cuteness. You don't get a lot of people around it because it's technical equipment. It's got power. It's sensitive. So you always have people away from the camera because on ice creams and teas and coffees or people chatting where you make decisions. It's kind of a holy space. Where it's a real kind of strict working area. And you only really want to hear the director and the DOP talking. You don't want to chit chat around that space. It's all about what decisions are made for moving your project forward and all of this. So you find actually that the producer will also come up and have, hey, what about tomorrow when we're here? And next week we're doing this and that. So before you know it, I just realized as you stand next to all the kind of the epicenter of decision making for any films quite often have. Of course, there's a meeting and people agree to have a meeting, but a lot of it happens around there.
So after Hannibal Rising, what was the next big kind of feature production you found yourself working on?
No, but as I said, I got let down by some Trinians, but I think I came in and did a few dailies. So I did a few dailies and a few things. I ended up doing, as I said, I was doing the Dream Team for quite a long time, and I went off to do one of the other dramas, I think Spooks or Hustle or something. And they offered me to be an operator actually for the following season, to come in and try that, to be a camera operator. That's obviously a good step. But at the same time, I got offered to do a B camera on the Death Defying Acts, which was shot by Harry Sabalukas, which had Timothy Spall, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Guy Pearce, the Australian guy playing Houdini. And it was shot on 35mm anamorphic Panavision C series. If you're into lenses and cameras and stuff, we're talking about one of the most legendary kind of set of lenses. I mean, what they have seen is just surreal. I'm actually thinking one day to do a documentary. If you take the camera sheets and shoots where you had the C series, you can pick each shot from each film that certain lenses have seen and just do a compilation. Like, what do they have in common? That was shot by the 28mm, if there's such a thing, Panavision C series. It's phenomenal. I mean, they've been through, I don't know when they were created, but we're talking back to the 50s or 60s or something. And major Hollywood pictures, all of it's been showing these things. However, so that was a big thing. That was a whole project again where I was on B camera clever loading, again with Ashley by Focus Puller, and that was a great rich experience. That was the thing where I had a choice to become a camera operator on a video show, or to become a clever loader on a big lead film, shot film. And I knew I always wanted to go cinema. I always wanted to know about that. I knew that you take those chances when they come. You can arguably always go backwards, but you don't get many chances like that. And I took that route, and I must have been maybe in my early 30s actually when these happened, or near my 30s. So, but I thought, that's what I want to do. I don't care that I'm on a lower level in terms of ranks in the camera department. It's not really the same, as a video TV show or feature film, and.
And I suppose at that point as well, you'd had such a wealth of experience that you felt completely confident in that job.
I did, yeah. I mean, of course, it's funny you say because I felt confident, but you never feel 100% confident. You always get thrown a bit because you come up across people who's done that part of their career, of jobs, job after job after job after job. So there's always something catching you out. So you never feel 100%, but I felt safe enough to take it on. And you learn a lot from it, but there's so many things that can go wrong, and you have to be so attentive throughout, and particularly being a loader and dealing with the film stock as well, a lot of it about method and getting into rhythms and do things the same way, but it's physically hard work. It's long hours. It's a long stretch. You get drained, and it really tears on your resources. So yes, I felt great about doing that job when I did it. But I would never say I stepped onto anything where I felt 100%
Yeah.
on top.
Well, I suppose
there's always that thrill.
Yeah.
There should be a little bit of a thrill.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not worth it. Some people might say.
Well, I mean, things you've obviously seen sort of a transition in the industry away from film. You were that sort of middle to tail end, I guess, of film and moving into digital. Talk about clapper loaders. I mean, what does a clapper loader do now? Is there such a thing as a clapper loader? Technically, there's obviously a lot of changes have happened.
Yeah, no, it's effectively called a second AC, because you still need to have, a camera assistance around the camera and to run the camera department and power everything up. You still have to change cards and make sure the data has gone to the right place to be backed up and all of it. So it's still a very prominent position. There's no doubt I saw it coming, as in clapper loading is not going to exist for a long time as a very lucrative thing. You could see it on the pay rate, like all of a sudden, productions were arguing, why should we give you this much? You're not doing all of that work. You're just putting the board on there and putting a card in. You're not loading, and so it starts going the other way. So I realized if you really want to persevere in this new digital era that seems to be coming, take a step up, and that had a big factor of me pushing myself towards focus pulling.
Yeah.
Because as a clapper loader, I started to get in slowly onto bigger and bigger films. As I got more and more experience, you all of a sudden get your name in a hat on some bigger productions. Again, I came out on some bigger productions and I did it right. And, your name gets into a hat and you get thrown onto extra cameras and all of this. And, it kind of opens up that big elite that is the British film industry and stuff. I start dabbling into it and doing well in it as a loader. But I realized that, I'd rather take a step back and become a focus puller on some smaller things and build that, because futuristically it's going to do me better. If that makes sense. I don't know if that's correct English, but I think you know what I mean. It's,
no, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. And quite rightfully, I took that step a little bit kind of backwards, and because I was given some opportunities to focus pull on some films, and I got in with a very good young cameraman as well that ended, and his director, who had ended up doing a lot of projects with high-end projects. I did.
It sounds like your instinct to progress and push yourself into the film area really paid off.
I mean, to be honest, it's all about the storytelling, and obviously, as you know as well, as you're talking about making your project into a mini episode for TV because that's the thing now. But then it became a feature film. But All Out is kind of the same thing. It's like storytelling, this visual storytelling, and trying to make it as good as possible, or give it a look or feel and all of that. And that has been my drive, as in my motivation, where to push myself towards. And obviously getting deeper and deeper into it towards the position of becoming a DOP, which I borderline am, I would definitely say.
You certainly are. No, but I found that a lot with working with you this time on The Old Man. Like, you were very story and character aware, and which is a massive help for me when we're kind of putting these things together, because it just means that you're a complete ally in not just visually in the photography of the film, but also in even the blocking, the storytelling, the characters. You were kind of totally there with me, so I totally appreciated that. That was a massive help.
It was great. I mean, I loved it. As you know, and exactly that. It's like you sent me the script a few times. We had a few chats about a few things, and when you sent me the feature script and I read it, I was like, yeah, this works now. It'd been condensed. The storyline was really well gelled. The balance between the characters and the events throughout just seemed to really connect. And I've always been a terrible reader since school days. I just don't read enough. Of course, I can read, but it's just I didn't really have that encouragement. But I picked this up, and all of a sudden it flows. You can see the story before your eyes, and it kind of fills you there, and you start getting ideas of certain things that could look nice, and it all starts to bloom inside you. But that comes from the script, that comes from the pages.
encountered kind of, different styles of DOP? So I guess some DOPs that are more technical, they're more interested in, flashy shots, things that are just look impressive. And then at the same time, you also encountered DOPs who have no style, possibly, but they just, that they have their focus is entirely on, I'm going to disappear here. I'm just going to figure out what's the best thing to put this script up on the screen.
No, but definitely as I developed and I worked with, as an assistant or chaperone with some of these really great DOPs and some great shows and stuff. Also did things with a great friend of mine, Charlotte Bruus Christensen. She came from the NFTS. She's a Danish cinematographer. And Charlotte just had a fantastic eye and she wasn't particularly technical. In the early days, she did a lot of her short films and stuff. And we did a lot of things together when she was just out of film school, some film school or just out. And she wasn't very technical. She left me to do a lot of these things, but just her connection with it was from through the eyepiece and with the story. And she always inspired me in that sense, where the connection with the story was just. She just had that feminine touch, female touch. I don't know, it's not because she's a she, but she just had a really good touch with the story. And I watched her work, which wasn't particularly technical at the beginning, where I went out and saw exactly that great DOPs where everything was measured and balanced and you had the right shot, but the connection with the story just wasn't on the same level. And Charlotte's career has gone like that. And if you look at her films, it's actually because she has that connection with the story, and that really inspired me. I realized I actually don't need to be like this super technical BSc Supremo, because actually this person is doing just as good, if not better, because there's a different connection with the story. Of course, there's a balance because there's a real hard fine line between having that freedom to do whatever you want to do and also being just like a technical deliver what other people request you to come up with, So that's something I learned. But yeah, there's no doubts that I aspire to both the technical perfection, but actually like being technical comprehensive, knowing enough, and then take that with you into the visual storytelling. The connection with it is arguably where I also wanted to head. And I'll say I have some great inspiration. I always wanted to work with Anthony Mantle, which I kind of wrote off because I thought, if I was a clapperloader, maybe I could have got into some of the shoots, but I actually ended up working as a focus puller on DCAM on the Pistols last year, which with Anthony Mantle was fantastic. And one reason I always liked him is exactly that. He always seems to have a fantastic connection with the story, he always embraced technology and just kind of didn't really have like, it has to be perfect. He's technically perfect. He knows the limits of all the different cameras he uses, but he uses them really well in the right place in the story to get the best out of these moments. And I've always been really impressed with that and thought that's a really kind of beautiful and rich approach, And there's a real joy and almost like a gift, like a reward to be on his film shoot and be with a headset and listening to him throughout the day and follow his way of approaching stories.
It's all about having that being plugged into that emotional connection rather, not being 100%. Too technical. I mean, not being, obviously you have to be, in a way you do have to be technical to the extreme, but it's because you are kind of the most technical job possibly on set in a way, and so you have to be there, but it's also allowing yourself to have a part of your brain that's completely plugged into the emotion.
I mean, you look at Anthony Mantle. He shot Festen was one of the first Dogma films, and it's shot on tiny video cameras. It's brilliant, and people love it because what they see is just great, and all the performance, everything is great, but the camera's always in the right place. Like you can say what you want about the technicality, but it looks like somebody took a video camera and filmed an event, and you feel like you're inside it. But it's because you could see all the relevant thing that has to happen for the story to make sense in the image, and that's because the camera is placed the right place, and that's arguably because of his connection with the story, understanding where the director wanted to go with it and what he wanted out of it, and knowing what to get and not to get, and where to put himself in order to capture that. And I think that says it all about, for me, that says it all about him and his understanding of the project he approaches. Because obviously he's done tons of other films that's, technically far more comprehensive than the Dogma films. Obviously they were designed not to be technical comprehensive, but he has it all in that sense.
Yeah,
And
well, I mean, I remember just being so affected by Festim. I absolutely loved the film, and it was massive part to his, you know, to his photography of it. And obviously, you've worked with Thomas Vinterberg as well. You've
we did Far From the Madding Crowd actually with Charlotte, the girl I mentioned. She shot Far From the Madding Crowd with Thomas Vinterberg, and I did the B camera on that as well.
Yeah.
And Ashley Bond, my old focus puller, he was the A camera focus puller, I was the B camera focus puller. And we had a great team, hard work down in Devon for 8 to 9 weeks or something. 35mm film again, Panavision.
Was it all strictly Danish people working on it, or were there some?
No. It's a British crew. But
I was going to say you got your own back for the St. Trinians, like because you couldn't wear a miniskirt and tights on that one. It's like, well, now I'm Danish, right?
Exactly. I mean, no, I mean, obviously knowing Charlotte for years, and knowing Ashley Bond, who became the A camera focus puller. Because like these things as well, when there's a certain budget, you have to have a certain name in order to be an A camera, you know, to be the one who leads the technical side of it, which is effectively what an A camera focus puller does. So to be with Ashley, who has that kind of credits behind him, and you know, he trained me up and he knew where I was at, and you know, it just gives you a kind of peace to be a part of a team where you don't have to prove yourself, you just go out and do the job, so to speak. You know, it becomes more of a team effort than anything else, and that's a very pleasant environment to be in. So that shoot was, as hard as it was a very, very joyous place to be going to work.
Well, you might have answered this already, but apart from obviously working on The Old Man, what's the highlight so far, do you reckon, if there is one, if there's one that you can pick out?
No, but actually The Old Man is is still ringing in the top of my memory right now. It does so. No, but because when you always wanted to do something and you feel like you go out and you know it, that was quite literally like an uphill struggle, you know. We quite easily shouldn't have been there. I mean, you were basically telling me, "Oh, I don't want to do this," you know. My accountant set me up, you know. And I was like, "Oh my God," and like, you know, I'm not taking this, you know. You have a great location, you got a great script. If you don't smash this now, it's not going to happen. And you know, it's just like, no, we need to do this, you know. We just need to do it, you know. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. And this is DIY cinema the most, and I would say then I learned that from my first feature film, Seagull, with Peter Bluff, who also said, listen, this film is all about just making it. I don't care. I like it to be like this. This is what we go out and do. But in the end of the day, it's about making a film. And I massively respect him and everything we did for putting that together. It's like a phenomenal DIY, homemade, I want to make a feature film. Seagull is it. It is.
We should get Peter onto this podcast.
I would. I think he would be good to talk to without a doubt, because he had that desire for years, and in the end, he can't remember exactly how he get money. You can speak to him about it, but you know, we're talking about 25 to 30,000 pounds. That's effectively the shooting budget of Seagull.
Yeah, sounds quite good to us, Mark. That doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, but he had a big part of it. It was in Folkestone. He had a team down there who wanted to help. His wife moved out of their house with their kids for 3 weeks, so he could put everybody up in his own house. I was sleeping in his daughter's bunk bed, you know, and people that came down to help would literally just crash out in his house, you know, and I mean, there was such amount of positive goodwill, and it also had all of these hallmarks that this is never going to happen and people not believing in it. But turned up again with, you know, great connection, great friend, Adam Etherington, who's always supported me, who I, you know, was this young cameraman that I've done a lot of projects with, Poldark and One of Us up in Scotland. You know, he's very supportive. He had a lot of kids, and you know, he lent me Alexa Plus, because there's no doubts as well, camera format becomes very vital when you want to do something that looks good on a big screen. So I had a lot of goodwill. I had a lot of friends from the industry that came down to help setting this up, you know, and that made it happen, and that was great.
It sounds a little bit like our film, with us all living under one roof. You know,
no, but exactly.
Peter's film.
Exactly, and that's what I mean about Peter's film. Like, for me, the old man is a massive step up. You know, I look at Seagull, and of course, as a photographer, there's 1,000 things I would like to have done different. I would have done this different, but I also remember my approach at the time was my first feature, and I thought I'm going to keep it simple because it's about getting the story. I didn't have constant help all the way through. I had some guys for a week and somebody else took over, and you know, there's a lot of kind of mess around it. But I just thought keep it simple, make sure that the nights, the evenings and the days will cut together scene by scene in different days by keeping a simple approach of what they look like, you know, because it's not so much about, for me at the time, fancy lighting or something that's going to stand out. It's about the story joining itself and what do you call it? It's
the kind of continuity.
Yeah, continuity of it. It just has to feel like it flows between these different times of day.
Yeah.
So I just had a really simple approach to it, and I'm still really proud of it, as you know, because I knew what I was up against. But having all of that experience of no, it has to happen. Having shot another film in between for a director called Hadi Hajjaj, and having done a lot of projects around, you know, trying to get money in and still focus pulling and stuff, I took a lot more experience and punch with me into the old man.
Yeah.
And the script of it as well, I thought was arguably more comprehensive than any other things I've shot so far, and complete, as in, you know, and the storyline, the events with the characters and stuff, and I feel like I've really taken everything that we talked about up until now. I took that with me into the old man.
Oh, bloody hell. Well, lucky me,
that's why it's ringing. Yeah.
So, Rami, tell us a little bit like your kind of systems throughout the day. You had this system of us. Once we finished the shoot and everyone's had their dinner, me and you would stay up for hours and hours and basically go through the next day, and which was exhausting, but it was so incredibly valuable, and I would always work that way again in the future. Tell us a little bit about that, about your kind of planning, the way you plan things.
Yeah, but again, just learning that decision making takes time. And if you can prepare yourself before you have a whole team around you to put them into motion the next day, then you're 6 steps ahead. It's literally not even exaggerated. It really is. You wake up tired, you look at something like, okay, what are we going to do here? That conversation, you know, if you have that down on paper already, this is the idea. It doesn't mean you're exactly going to do it, but it means you know where to start. And it just means you can focus in on the details of the story and, you know, work your way around it. It's like having I don't know what to describe it.
Like a blueprint for the next day. It's a plan.
Exactly.
Because I found that when we did stay up, we were making decisions and changes that were quite fundamental to the way the next day went, even to the point where we were sat in a room and we were like, do you know what, this room isn't going to work like this. We need to change the whole room around. And then so 1 o'clock in the morning, we're just moving bookshelves and sofas. And the next day it worked perfectly. And imagine if we did that the next morning, we would have been screwed.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have seen it. It would have killed like an hour, where this hour we had camera set up, we had actors rehearsing, we had staging, we had time to perfect, because we didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of things, but the things we did became more perfected because yes, we had thought them out the day before. So yeah, it's super hard. I mean, Peter and I and Siegel did the exact same thing, and we were also knackered, but every day we got there, and you know, Siegel was actually a little bit bigger in crew and stuff, but it gets to a point where things you plan don't go to plan, and things go different, and some actor doesn't turn up or something happens, and you have to restructure. And Peter, as a director, you get pulled in 1,000 different directions, but because we spoke about it, I was able to help him into like, well, actually, if we're doing this now, we spoke about this because it's going to link with this, and it just gave me a chance to be with him throughout the script of what we agreed that we try to achieve, and it just became like we became bodies in helping each other to stick to the game plan of the storyline. What are the key moments in this scene, and where is it going to lead to, and all of it. And I think that's what we did as well. You know, that was without a doubt really rich. You know,
It was it was massively helpful, because there's all the planning you can do on paper before the fact, but actually getting to a set or a location, particularly one where on this one we had no recce, so we were kind of totally going in blind. Potentially it was a complete disaster potentially, but I think it was just that. I mean, the fact is we turned up and it was a fantastic location. not 100%
Credit to
ideal.
you.
Not
No, but it was
100, not 100% ideal, but it was the fact that we had so much to work with that we could stay up, plan, and just get the most out of it, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it was a 360 location. You know, we could think things up as we wanted. We could change the room around. You know, we could move furniture. There was nobody to answer to for a week apart from ourselves.
There was no.
And,
It was like when we were looking for locations for like, where's Mick and Drew's room, right? Rami, it's going to be your bedroom and Andre's room. You got to move your stuff out.
But it worked really well.
It worked really well. It was perfect.
Yeah. No, but I don't mind. You know, it's like for me, when you go onto a project, you had to step into it with everything, whether you're an assistant or you're helping somebody else, or like we're taking it on. Is you kind of have to live and breathe it a bit. You know, obviously when you're assistant on a bigger thing, yes, you have your moments where you can feel like, okay, it's more of a day job. You know, like what I'm doing now. You can have that feeling and you get home, but no, particularly when you're leading something, you know, for the time you're shooting, that's it. You know, you have to live and breathe it. You know, and I think as tiring as it is and as much as it drains on your family life and personal life for that period, it also leaves you with this remarkable sense of achievement. That's what I'm feeding on, what you're feeding on, what I think anyone who wants to make films are feeding on. And the time after, like now, for a long time when I had the baby and I haven't worked, but I had the sensation that we did so much on the old man and we still got a bit to finish, but the feeling is like, yeah, you achieve something, and the time afterwards, you know, it's a different life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is. You're quite right. That feeling of, I mean, thank God we did go up and do that, because
exactly.
Because I can remember you on the phone just saying to me, "You are going to so regret this. You're going to hate yourself ever if you don't go up and shoot there." Because
it's a great spot and you got it, and you got so many things together already. Your script is in place, you know. All the practicality you have to put in motion to get anything remotely close to this point, it's going to take you the best part of years, not more, you know, and you're going to be misled by all sorts of other things, financial, family, all sorts of things, you know, and it's like, no, this you need to strike it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, we did it now, so it's on to the next stage, Rami. So I'm looking forward to working with you pretty soon, next couple of months.
Hopefully,
to finish up.
Bring it on.
And what's next for you, Rami? Where can you see yourself going in terms of next steps, next films, or career choices? Where would you like to be placing yourself?
I mean, I always have ideas that I like to see happen, but I also know that execution is difficult. You know, when you're young and aspiring, you know, throughout my 20s and 30s, you know, you think that you find a way to do it all, and I certainly become a bit more humble about the whole thing because I know how hard it is, and that's why I would say that really I enjoy everything that comes my way, and I put everything into what I choose to do, because you've got to make it count what you do, and maybe I become a bit more selective. You know, I don't throw myself out, and maybe I should be shooting more promos and put myself out and create like a glossier show reel for myself. But actually, I like my storytelling, I like my dramas, I like what I know, and I like your project. You know, this came up and I put a lot of effort into making this happen. I even had my mum coming on, being with my wife to help babysit, because, you know, it's just me and my wife here, you know, so there's a big thing being away for that week and stuff. But, you know, I wanted to make this count, and I think for whatever else comes up, I just hope that's something that I find interesting.